Okay, so in this video, we're going to be solving the Omkar and completion problem. So what the question is, so basically you are given the value n and you have to construct an array which is going to be of size n, and that array has to be complete. So when is that array called complete? That array is complete when all the elements of it are positive and they have to be lesser than 1,000. And for all of the indices, if you pick two indices, let's say you pick index x and you pick index y, when you add index x and the element at index y, then that should not add up to an element which is in the array. If you pick an element a of x and you pick an element a of y, then that should not be equal to fz. So for example, let's say we have the input as n is equal to 5, then you have to have 5 elements in your array, and the elements are such that all of them are positive and they are lesser than 1,000. And also if I pick two elements x and y, let's say I pick 1 and 5, then 1 and 5 adds up to 6. So I should not have any element which is equal to 6 in my array. And suppose if I pick 3 and 77, that sums up to 80. So I should not have any element 80 in my array. And another announcement which was made is that x and y can be the same. So I can have x 5 and y also 5. So if I add 5 plus 5, 10, 10 also should not be in my array. Similarly, 1 plus 1 is what? 2. So 2 also should not be in the array. And if n is 4, then you have to make 4 elements which satisfies these properties. And we can see that repetition is allowed. So we can have two numbers basically two same numbers. That is also allowed. So how do we go about making our array? So let's say we have the input of n is equal to 3. So is this allowed basically? How can you choose these random numbers? If I add 1 and 2, it gives me 3. So okay, so 3 is not there in my array. So far it's fine. If I add 4 and 2, that gives me 6. 6 is also not there in my array. But if I add 1 and 1, it gives me 2. So 2 is also in my array. That's not allowed. So the question is, how do we randomly choose these elements? What we can observe is, if I add an odd number plus an odd number, it will always give me an even number. So if the n is 3 and if I put all odd numbers in my array, then no matter what I add, I'm always going to get an even number, and there are no even numbers in my array. So this is going to be this is going to be a complete array. And also repetition is allowed. So what if I do 1, 1 and 1, right? If any x and y that I choose, I'm always going to get an even number, even if I add x, and if I say y is also the same index as the one which I'm choosing for x, then 1 plus 1 is still going to be even, and I don't have any even numbers in my array. So I can just fill the entire array with ones. So if it's 3, then I'm going to have 3 ones. If it's 5, then I'm going to have 5 ones. And that's pretty much it. We have solved the problem. So this is all for the code. You just take the number of test cases, get the value of n, and if it's 5, then we're going to have 5 ones printed. If it's 4, we're going to have 4 ones printed. We know that this is always going to be lesser than 1,000. 1 is always lesser than 1,000. This is just one of the ways of doing it. So what else you can do is, what if you have even numbers? Now, because we can just repeat the same number, is there any possibility that if I take an x and a y, if I add them together, will I get a z, which is already in the array? So if you have a look, if you add 8 plus 8, you get 16. If you add this 8 plus this 8, you still get 16. So and 8 is also lesser than 1,000. So you can just take any number which is lesser than 1,000, and you can just print those numbers which is up till the length of your array. So if you just add them up, you're never going to get a value which is already inside your array. Same numbers were not allowed. If repetitions of the same number were not allowed, then that might have made the problem more complex. So here you can just take the value of n itself, and you can just print the value of n itself. You can just take the value of n itself and you can print that n times also, instead of printing 1. So this is basically a more simple basic observation which you can make. That's it. Thanks for watching.